July 29, 1967, 10:52 a.m. A rocket tears across the deck of an American aircraft carrier. It wasn't fired at the enemy. It was fired at their own men. What happens in the next 13 minutes will turn the USS Forrestal into a floating inferno, and 134 sailors will never see home again. This is the story of the worst naval disaster since World War II, and it all started with a single spark. A supercarrier, over 1,000 feet long, nearly 80,000 tons of American steel. She's stationed off the coast of Vietnam, part of Operation Rolling Thunder. Her mission? Launch airstrikes deep into enemy territory. On board, 5,000 men, pilots, engineers, deck crew, kids really, most barely in their 20s. Among them a young Navy pilot named John McCain. You might know the name. The flight deck is packed. Wall-to-wall aircraft, F-4 Phantoms, of 4 Skyhawks, all armed, all fueled, all ready to launch. It's hot, scorching, over 100 degrees. The crew works fast, precision, teamwork. They've done this 100 times, but today, something is different. The air feels heavy, tense. At 10:50 a.m., final checks are being made. Pilots are in their cockpits. Engines are roaring. Launch is minutes away. Everything is going according to plan, until it isn't. A Zuni rocket, 5 feet long, razor sharp, fires from an F-4 Phantom, not at a target, at another plane, an A-4 Skyhawk, sitting 50 feet away, fully loaded with fuel and bombs. The pilot inside? John McCain. The rocket screams across the deck in less than a second. It punches through the Skyhawk's fuel tank, JP-5 jet fuel, thousands of gallons, spills onto the deck, and then fire. A lake of flames spreads across the steel deck, fast, unstoppable. Men scramble, shouting, running, but they're surrounded by bombs, rockets, fuel. It's not just a fire, it's a ticking time bomb. McCain kicks open his canopy, climbs out, drops 10 feet onto the burning deck. Around him, chaos. Deck crew spray foam, try to contain it, but the flames are too big, too fast, and then someone realizes the bombs, the heat is cooking them. They have seconds, maybe. 2 minutes after the rocket fired, the first bomb detonates. The explosion is deafening. A shockwave rips across the deck. A crater opens in the steel. Flames shoot 200 feet into the air. Men are thrown like rag dolls. Some vanish in the blast. Others are swallowed by fire. The flight deck, once organized, controlled, is now hell. Burning metal, twisted wreckage, bodies. Inside the ship, men feel the shockwave. They know what it means. The intercom crackles. Fire on the flight deck. All hands, all hands. Damage control teams rush up. They're trained for this, but nothing could prepare them for what they see. A wall of fire. Smoke so thick you can't see 5 feet ahead, and the bombs, dozens of them, still sitting there, still cooking. One sailor grabs a fire hose, sprays water. The heat melts the hose in his hands. Another sailor tries to push a burning bomb overboard with his bare hands. It explodes. He's gone. The fire isn't just on the deck anymore. Burning fuel pours through the crater, down into the ship. It reaches the berthing compartments, where sailors sleep. It reaches the hangar bay, where more aircraft sit, armed, fueled. Secondary explosions start, each one worse than the last. The ship shakes. Steel groans. Men below deck are trapped. Smoke fills the corridors. No lights, no air, just heat and darkness. Some try to escape. Find a hatch, a ladder, anything. Others don't make it. On the deck, the crew fights back. They form human chains, pass water, pull wounded men to safety. Pilots, trained to fly, not fight fires, grab hoses anyway. Sailors throw bombs overboard before they explode. One sailor jumps onto a burning bomb, uses his body to smother it. He knows what happens if it goes off. He doesn't care. He saves 20 men and loses his life. The fire rages for hours, but slowly, painfully, the crew gains ground. Nearby ships rush to help. USS Rupertus, USS Oriskany. They pull alongside, spray water, send medical teams. Below deck, sailors flood compartments, seal hatches. They sacrifice parts of the ship to save the rest. It works. By 1 p.m., over 2 hours after the first rocket fired, the flames start to die. The smoke clears, and the crew sees what's left. The flight deck is unrecognizable. Warped steel, blackened metal, pools of melted aluminum where planes once sat. The smell is unbearable. Fuel, smoke, burned flesh, 21 aircraft destroyed, 161 men injured, 134 dead. Some bodies are never found. The USS Forrestal, one of the most powerful ships in the world, has been crippled, not by the enemy, by itself. The Forrestal limps back to port. The crew is exhausted, traumatized. Many can't sleep. They hear the explosions, smell the smoke. The Navy launches an investigation. What they find is disturbing. The Zuni rocket fired because of an electrical surge, a power fluctuation. It should never have happened, but it did. Because of outdated equipment, poor maintenance, rushed procedures, the bombs that exploded, old Korean War-era ordnance, unstable, dangerous. They'd been sitting in storage for years. No one checked them. And when the fire started, the crew wasn't properly trained. Many had never fought a fire that big, that fast. They did their best, but their best wasn't enough. The Navy changes everything after this. New safety protocols, better training. 134 men paid the price for that lesson. But here's what the Navy doesn't always talk about: the courage. The men who ran toward the fire when every instinct screamed to run away. The sailor who threw himself on a bomb. The pilot who pulled 3 men from the flames before collapsing from smoke inhalation. The 19-year-old kid who stayed at his post, manning a fire hose until the deck collapsed beneath him. These weren't soldiers in a war zone. They were sailors on their own ship, and they fought like hell. John McCain, the pilot whose plane was hit, later said, "The bravest thing I ever saw wasn't in combat. It was on that deck. Men I barely knew, risking everything. He survived, ejected, pulled to safety. Weeks later, he'd be shot down over Vietnam, captured, tortured for 5 years. But he never forgot that day. None of them did." The USS Forrestal would sail again. Repairs took months, millions of dollars. She'd served for another 26 years before being decommissioned in 1993. But she'd always carry the scars. And so would the men who survived. Today, there's a memorial, a plaque, names etched in stone. 134 names, fathers, brothers, sons. Most were under 25. They didn't die fighting the enemy. They died fighting to save each other. And maybe that's the real story here. Not how the disaster happened, but how they responded. When the world exploded around them, when every second counted, they didn't run. They stayed, they fought, they saved each other, because that's what sailors do. July 29th, 1967. The day the USS Forrestal burned. The day when 134 men became heroes. And the day the Navy learned, sometimes the greatest battle isn't with the enemy. It's with the chaos we create ourselves.